Frankie, thanks a million for taking all my speech. I'm like Al Pacino up here now. I have 10 minutes to recap on everything that Frankie has gone and done, and I have to try and reinvent a story because he's told everything that I've put up here. My background, grew up in a family business, bakery industry, very aggressive business at the time. We were in an expansion program. Anybody who's grown up in a family business will know working for a family business is absolutely hell. No matter what idea you have, they seem to have an idea that's a little bit better than yours. Won't work, but it's way better. So my choice in career from there went to college, decided I'd be an accountant. For any of the accountants in the room, I apologize. I did 3 months, spent the 3 months going out with the science class, and my accountancy went to absolute pot. Decided that this wasn't for me, left college, stepped back into our business for 12 months. It was another little bit of juggling. Mindfulness did not come into any of my career choice at that particular stage. After 12 months in the business, decided to step out again. A neighbour of mine kept on placing adverts in the door and insisting that perhaps psychiatric nursing might be a good idea as a choice of career, because I could use that at some stage to step back into the business and be able to work with the family down the road. So I chose psychiatric nursing. It was my starting point, went to St Brendan's Hospital in Dublin, went from there, joined the forensic services in London, went through the forensic services, joined the prison service, grew through the prison service, sent to college at night, did psychotherapy and psychology at night, became a criminal profiler, and my role became profiling people before they went to court as to whether or not they were fit to plead. So that's where this little Paddy the Irishman ended up, from a remote village in Ireland. One of 6 people in the Home Office at the time of the Warrington bombing, which was a very, very hard time to be living in England. And for anybody who was living there at the time, everybody hated the Irish. It didn't matter what your accent sounded like. It didn't matter what part you were from. The fact that you were Irish, it was a very, very difficult place to be. At that time, decided then that I was going to come back. There are lots of obstacles. Life presents them as they happen. Look, we're all looking for a nice area where we would feel that we were in this lovely Zen area, peace of mind and everything happening. Came back for a job in Ireland. The job didn't transpire the way I thought it would, and ended up on a flight in, did the interview, found out the job didn't exist, flew back to England, back into the work again. Again, the yearnings were to come back to Ireland. Family business did call on me, and I did come back into the family business once more. Whilst in the family business, I had a dreadful accident. To just give you a very brief idea, I got caught in one of the machines in the bakery whilst trying to prove to all of the family that were there that I was better than everybody else that was in it, and I could make this place really work. Unfortunately, it happened on the, not hanging on to dates, the 20th of April 2000 at 12:15, and it's amazing how things stick in your mind. But I can assure you that the word mindfulness was well and truly out of my head at that particular stage. And listen to what Frankie was saying earlier on, and how certain adversities and things happen. They present us with opportunities. At that particular time, being stuck in the machine, which went on for 20 minutes, there had to be something that was going to click for me to stay sane, to stay alive, to do a lot of things at that particular time. When I got out of this particular machine after 20 minutes, I unfortunately thought that I was in control of everything, wasn't aware of blood loss, wasn't aware of anything, collapsed, broke my nose, sent my nose and central point up into my cheekbone, pierced a tear duct, lots of things went on. So when I was eventually taken off the ground and brought to a hospital, I didn't know what was going on. First hospital to go to was just to control what was going on from a blood point of view, just to be able to ensure that the hand was still intact. And I can see some people are looking on shocked and saying, geez, what's your man doing up here? And yes, that was the turning point in my life. I went from there back into all of what I was trained in. I went to England, did a course in NLP, did a course in timeline therapy, did a course in hypnotherapy, met a shaman actually while I was on one of the courses, spent some time with an ex-Tibetan monk, did all sorts of things, decided that this is what I was going to change the journey of my life. So in changing the journey of my life, it's a little bit like John and his group here was about changing thinking process. My difficulty was that I wasn't just going on this route. I was an entrepreneur. Now, any entrepreneurs in the room will tell you, that's great crack, you just can't stop your head going. Every single time you see something, geez, that's a great idea, maybe I could do this, maybe I could do that. So trying to keep yourself in the now, to stop yourself diving out into the future, to change things that were going to affect the now, or going back into the past to try and reverse things that could help you to make the future better, really is all about what mindfulness is. It's about anchoring yourself to stay where you are for now so that it doesn't go wild. So this is my chance. I had to be mindful. I had to decide after all of these courses, what was I going to do and where was I going to go? And of course we have distractions, and there's loads of distractions. These things present themselves every single day. And I'm sure Buzz is whispering into Woody's ear there, look, you know, you're the big sheriff, here's the way it's going to happen. And it's a little bit like what Alan Quinlan was saying into your ear just as you were walking off the pitch. It's an important thing for us to recognize that distractions are not bad things. Distractions are actually opportunities. And sometimes the distraction is so intense, it presents you with the opportunity that you need most in your life at that particular time. For example, when I was stuck in that machine, yes, it was absolutely dreadful, but the opportunity it presented me with was mind-changing, life-changing, everything about it. How I went and did things from there on in became totally, totally different. We talk about how we want to perceive, how we want to learn, how we want to grow, how we want to be better in ourselves every single day. And my slides and my little bits now are in advance as Frankie are, so I apologize for all that, because a lot of what I'm at here is just to get you into the mindset that I was in when all of this happened. So I had lots of thoughts. I needed to call myself aside on numerous occasions and say, well, look, you can't have all the thoughts. You've got to look at which area you're going to go to, where are you going to do, what are you going to do now? Are you going to do it now? Are you going to wait till later? And I really needed to tie myself down to choices. So one of my choices was my private practice. I had an extremely busy private practice. I was based in Dublin, Galway, 3 locations: Galway City, Ballinasloe, and Portumna. My Dublin one exploded on an interview that I had with Joe Duffy one afternoon after a client of mine rang into the radio station, which I had absolutely no knowledge was going to happen. And it was important that I rang in just to be able to rescue the situation that, and we all know Joe Duffy. Joe Duffy is trying to present things as they would happen and try and get lots of attention and bring it all in. In the rescuing of what went on, I couldn't get on the show on that particular day, so the researcher took all the information and I ended up on the show the next day, and the idea was that they would get this other person that did the damage in that person's life and create this scenario of me against them, which was not where I wanted to be. Where I wanted to be was, I wanted to be true to myself, true to everything else that was out there, and I wanted to be successful, and I wanted to get back into this mindful state. I wanted to be able to reach that point where I could see my goals. And again, like in what Frankie was saying earlier on, and I'm sorry now for having to refer to you all this time, Frankie, but the difficulty is I didn't know you were going to do all that before this, because if I did, I'm supposed to be on a flight to Egypt in exactly 2 hours' time. I would have been on the flight earlier. And our goals are things that distract us, and sometimes if we get too attached to the goal that we're looking at, it completely takes us away from where we want to be in the now. And I, like more than likely everybody in the room, I get absolutely passionate about some of the goals that I would have set out for myself. And in setting these goals out, I become so attached that it becomes emotional. You find a whole lot of things that tie us down, that prevent us from recognizing that our lives are journeys. And as a life is a journey, this is like getting on a train. It doesn't have a particular destination, because our journey is happiness. And if your mind is presented clear enough to get through anything that presents itself at any particular time in your life, then you can get to the destination that you're looking for, which is happiness being the constant part of your journey and not an end result. An awful lot of us say, we want to succeed at this goal because we want to be happy. But we want to be happy without actually getting to succeed at the goal, because we've all had goals that we succeeded at and we weren't happy afterwards. So sometimes you want to be anywhere but in the now. Small little connection here. I'm also involved in the funeral business, but it's got nothing to do with being on the cross. The 3 dogs are all blind dogs. If you notice, the dog to the left is the smarter one. He's got his paw ready to take the money and he's looking for his car to come out. The other 2 are distracted. Guy in the middle, it's just a different floral arrangement. And sometimes we find ourselves hanging on a cross that we made ourselves, left ourselves hanging on it, and unfortunately there's nobody there to take you down except yourself. There's a lady called Catherine Valente who wrote a book, and the book is the little girl, I think, that circumnavigated fairyland in a ship of her own making. And the line she uses in it is, "Why ruin today, mourning what might happen tomorrow?" And I'm on time out, am I? Done? Okay, and thank you very much. Just a very quick one with Albert Einstein, who said that there's 2 ways to live your life. You can live your life thinking that life could be a lot of miracles, or you could live your life thinking that life has no miracles. Well, I'm afraid I think life has lots of miracles, and that's exactly how I've started living. And thank you very much for your time. This is me.